There are 3 candidates vying to oversee Wisconsin's public schools for the next 4 years.
The primary election is 2 weeks from today. Our State Capitol Bureau Chief Vanessa Kelson is sitting down one-on-one with all of the candidates.
We're airing these interviews in the order the candidates got into the race. Tonight, we begin this series with incumbent Dr. Jill Underly. I started by asking her why she wants to continue to serve in her role.
There's so much to do still, right? It's been a great job to make sure that we're getting all the resources we can to get to our public schools. As a former school district administrator, of course, as a mom, I've always wanted to make sure that we've had the best public schools in the state of Wisconsin.
You've requested $4 billion in funding for the Department of Public Instruction, which would use up the state surplus. Is your request realistic?
Yeah, 100%. When you think about it, we have chronically underfunded schools in Wisconsin for at least the past 10 years, really longer when you think about it. And as a result, I mean, we do get funding from the state every year, but that funding hasn't kept up with inflation.
Should Wisconsin's school choice program be expanded?
Absolutely not. So I look at this as the voucher program, right? We can't be using public dollars to fund private schools in Wisconsin. We can't afford 2 systems.
When it comes to teachers, Wisconsin has a crisis when it comes to recruitment and retention. How would you go about solving that in your next term?
We need to pay people what they're worth. We need to pay them for their education and their expertise, and they need to be able to support a family. And so what I'm proposing in this budget is additional funding to look at programs like teacher apprenticeship, look at things like grow your own programs, which are taking adults who maybe already work in your school but aren't licensed as teachers and investing in them.
This year, DPI changed the testing standards. Governor Tony Evers has said that changing these standards was a mistake. Both of your competitors in this race agree. Do you stand by changing the test standards?
And so what we're talking about here is we did not lower standards. Like I said, we've increased them. What we did change was the measurement of how you grade that test.
Do you think that makes it harder to be able to compare between last year and this year?
Well, so I think you have to look at the fact that we are actually learning more about what kids know and don't know because we have aligned the cut scores to the test. Before, the test didn't really have much meaning other than the fact that, yeah, maybe year to year to year you can kind of gauge whether or not as a whole, you know, if things improved or didn't, but it wasn't really helpful.
In the wake of the fatal Abundant Life Christian School shooting here in Madison, safety is a top priority for a lot of parents and students. How would you go about continuing to address that?
It's a huge priority for me as well. And so my administration, we have a plan that works with the Office of School Safety and the Department of Justice for different policy to make sure that kids are safe, but we also put in our budget request the ability for local school districts to levy for school safety reasons so that they can do things like, secure entrances and not have to go to referendum for them.
Coming up, I'll sit down with State Superintendent candidate Jeff Wright, the current superintendent of Sauk Prairie Schools. In Madison, Vanessa Kelson.
And again, the primary election is 2 weeks away, February 18th. The top 2 finishers will advance to the April 1st ballot.